What's up, all you cool cats and kittens? We're back in A Sun Show, season two of the show, episode four, or sorry, end of episode. Yeah, it's episode four. Uh, we have a special guest on this week from mid conference, and we can just kind of hop right into games from last week. Starting with A Sun game of the week, we had Stetson Duquesne, a pretty anticipated rivalry game between two friends who are friends outside of the ASUN. We just talked to Stetson last week. This is a nail biter down to the very end. I think they ended up kicking a field goal in the fourth quarter to come away with the victory 38-35. What do you guys think about Stetson's undefeated start so far?
It's been very impressive. He's really got the option game going. He picked up 457 yards on the ground, which is huge. And he was Hat was behind most of the game, but the fourth quarter belonged to the Hatters, and that's what's counted. So yeah.
Yeah, good game for him. Keeping it going. Got a little hot last season at the end, and he's keeping it going for a good start this season. Nice fourth quarter to get him in the lead, and great win. Yeah. I think next game. Next game is your game. If you want to take that.
Next game is my game. I played Sam Houston State, another FCS veteran. This game was interesting because there's 10 points combined in the first half, 7-3. I was down. Defensive struggle. Nobody could really move the ball. I had 3 turnovers in the first half. And then the second half was like a track meet, totally different game. I think there was at least 2 or 3 70-yard touchdowns, a fumble return for a touchdown, and it went back and forth. And there was a point where he took the lead at the end of the fourth, and I had the ball and starting from my 10-yard line, and I didn't really move the ball, punted it, and I think we both scored touchdowns again in the last 30 seconds of the game, which is crazy. Came down to a potential onside kick with some time confusion actually as far as runoff goes. But he ended up securing the onside kick and taking the knee. It was crazy back and forth game, but awesome to play NCS.
Yeah, a valiant effort there. NCS is one of the greatest coaches. His record is quite phenomenal. I think Sam Houston State will see a big jump in the rankings after this week. A lot of people still recognize the year you had last season, ampersand, and they'll take that into account. Sam Houston State should get a big jump. The turnovers killed you, but you did a good job fighting back, and it was really close. So valiant effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely looks like 1 or 2 less turnovers, and they could have gone the other way. But yeah, good win for NCS, and we'll see if you can do better in conference play.
Southland is tough.
Yeah. Next game is Merrimack and Alabama State. That game was a shootout pretty much all the way. 50-36 for Alabama State. Turk getting off to a great start this year. He's been considered one of the, I guess, worst coaches in the ASUN, with the last year not doing good. But this year he's come out on fire, and he's taking down 2 teams, got Alabama State to a winning record finally. Well, not all time, but in a season. But good win, dominant fourth quarter for him, scoring 21 points. And yeah, I think Alabama State might be turning it around.
Turk has really come to play this season, and we'll see how the Hornets react to their success as they get into conference play, where they really struggled last year. Turk continues to rack up big wins out of conference. He did it a couple times last season, and good to see here. Merrimack, we don't hear much about them, but they're a pretty decent team this year, I think. They won week 1, so it's better than 0-2, and always good to see a big half 100 hung on the board.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where Turk ends up in the ASUN Dawn, the Old North, because y'all's division is just insane right now. I think he was in y'all's division last year, if I'm not mistaken, and then he moved
Yep.
maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so let's see how the change of scenery really helps him turn it around this year. And I know that my side of the division is a little bit softer so far. So excited to see, how he changes in this new year. Next, we have Bethune-Cookman and Charleston Southern. A battle of two. Bethune-Cookman went to the playoffs last year. Charleston Southern was considered, I believe, in the Final Four, the first four out, I should say. Pello just hung on him. This is a high-profile game. I know, and it just seemed like he couldn't stop scoring at a certain point. Even after the first half, it was pretty much in hand, 38-20. So Pello could afford to take his foot off the gas, and it looked like he hung 65 on him. Pretty balanced game, 540 yards total offense. Pello still managing to get almost 170 yards in the air, 380 yards on the ground, and about 7 minutes in fewer time. So he was scoring quickly and efficiently in that game.
Yeah. At the end of last season, Bethune-Cookman lost 4 or 5 games, and people were wondering if Pello had lost it after the 8-0 start. The meltdown in the playoffs, people were really wondering. But with the big win over Penn, and now this big win over a CFC divisional winner last year that went to the conference championship, 65 points is remarkable. 38 in the first half. CSU really came out with a good game plan, but BC figured it out and quickly got rolling there. So it was a fun game to watch. High scoring always is fun, but it never really was in doubt after the first quarter.
Yeah. Again, 28 points in the second quarter is a little crazy. That's yeah, Bethune-Cookman, middle of the game, really took it over, outscoring Charleston Southern at -1 rushing yard. Southern. Yeah, Bethune-Cookman scored fast and often, and is showing why he was number one team and was ranked number one going into this week. Next game is Maine and Campbell. And Campbell with the comeback win, scoring 17 points in both the third and fourth, the win 41-38. Yeah, crazy game. Everybody saw it unfolding in, I think it was Game Chat or whatever, one of the channels. And yeah, Campbell able to sneak a win, take it late, and great win for him. Great second half and great win.
Yeah, that was really exciting to see Campbell make that statement. And it started last week too. And I'll be honest, nobody picked him to win this game last week, even on this show. So seemingly against all odds, down 31-7 at half. He summoned some spirit, some demon from inside of him, and he pulled it out. That was really impressive. I think that's a huge turning point, not just in this season, but like in his career. I know he's had a couple frustrating games last year. That's got to feel good to come out with a victory over a really, really good Maine team that won big last week.
Yeah, not only was the comeback improbable, but also just the end game. So, like we said, Campbell was down 24-0 in the first half, 31-7 at halftime. So that was a big deficit. Coming back from that was really hard, and they did a really good job of getting back into position, really figuring out the Maine offense, stopping them, as well as turning on the offense. It still looked bleak, even with less than a minute to go. Campbell trailed by a touchdown, 38-31, and scored the touchdown. Looked like it was going to overtime at 38-38. I believe less than 30 seconds remained, and Campbell just kicked the normal kickoff, and Maine could not hold on to it. It was fumbled out on the tackle, and Campbell had the ball in field goal range and kicked the winning field goal. So quite improbable scene at the end, and this is going to go down as one of the greatest games of the year. I assume it'll be in those articles at the end of the season, and we'll remember it throughout.
Definitely a game of the year candidate. Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. He definitely pulled some tricks out of the bag. Not taking anything away. That was an awesome win.
Yeah.
Campbell's started himself to a really good start of the season, and let's see how the coaches react in the coaches poll this week. Next, we'll look at North Carolina A&T at Chattanooga. Another solid offensive performance by Chattanooga here. 317 passing yards. I know quarterback had a big week last week. Really, I think looks like the key to the game here. Chatty almost tripling NC&T's time possession, 20 minutes to their 8, basically. And really dominated the middle quarters of the game, 35-21. Final on Chatty. I feel like Chatty feels like he gets a little bit of disrespect sometimes, so it's good to see him really show out versus a solid out-of-conference opponent.
Yeah, you mentioned the time of possession. That's really rare to see in his pass-first offense, being able to control the game like that. But as you can see, the second half was pretty inactive, and that's a testament to Chattanooga's game control ability. And they got punched in the mouth in the first quarter and came right back and took control like they should. And so hats off on the 2-0 start, and let's see how the Mocs can do in conference play. Let's see if they can make the Chattanoogaans proud.
Yeah. Great win for Chatty. Great start. It's fun to cover a conference that's having so many teams having a great start. But yeah, tied at halftime, but a dominant second half for Chattanooga, outscoring 14-0. And time of possession is just team. But yeah, good win for Chatty. Another team, see if they can keep it up in conference play. Because there's definitely gonna be a couple 2-0 teams that are gonna falter in conference play this year. Next is my game versus. Wait, did I skip one?
You did skip one.
Yeah, I skipped one. Dang it. Next game is Citadel at Eastern Tennessee, and Nut gets another win. He wins 28-21. Looks like turnovers might have been one of the main things, because Citadel outgained Eastern Tennessee, but Nut was patient with that option offense, no turnovers, and won by touchdown. So good win for him. Great start to his head coaching career.
Yeah, this is one of the slower moving games of the week, and we were there Saturday night, and the game was, I believe, in the third quarter. So it adds to the impressiveness of this win that most of the second half, the Citadel was actually coached by Jocks at Penn. She subbed in when they needed a sub, and Nut was able to weather that storm. I believe the game may have been tied, or he may have had a 7-point lead, but there was plenty of time where ETSU went up against an Ivy League power, basically, in this game. So, impressive win.
Yeah, that is an interesting detail. I actually didn't know that Jocks had subbed in at that point. A lot of us noticed this before, and we'll continue to say it. Don't sleep on East Tennessee State. They haven't had the most glorified history in the FFCS, but Nutt is no joke, and Sanford can attest to it as well. Having worked with him last year, and then seeing him, Judge, you've seen him come through the ranks in D2. It's really awesome feeling, as one of the older conference members at this point, to see a new coach get a good win and take down, a higher profile sub at the time as well.
Yep. Next game is my game against South Dakota State. I won 21-9. He's got a field goal each of the first 3 quarters, while I got nothing. But then I exploded for 21 points in the fourth quarter. It's a tough game. I think either his first 3 or first 4, because one of the drives might have been the half drive. He scored, and so it was a slow-moving game, not a lot of yards. I think he ran option, so it was a lot of losing. But at the end, I was able to get a couple turnovers and a couple quick touchdowns to put myself ahead and secure the win for a good 2-0 start.
Yeah, I think you're selling yourself a little bit short, Slow. It's called bend, don't break defense. And when you've got a team that can run like that, holding them to field goals on 3 trips to decent territory is a big deal. If they had scored touchdowns on those, it would have been a lot harder to come back. I know you ended up scoring 21 points, but if you had not held those field goals, then it would have gone to overtime. So, excellent defensive performance and way to step up when it was needed in the fourth quarter. So, great job.
Yeah, definitely. There's something to be said again about clutch performances here. You guys have both had, the opportunity to play South Dakota State this year. You guys both had kind of different, routes of to victory. So I think that's awesome to be versatile, not get too rattled, and do what you need to do in crunch time.
The rattlers rattle other people.
Yeah, y'all were doing the rattling. Next, we'll go to Jacksonville and Youngstown State. And that kind of leads us to our guest for the week, Purple, coach of Jacksonville. Purple, I guess we can start with you. What were some takeaways from this game? You got another start just like last week. The third quarter was tough, but for a minute there, you kind of had Youngstown State's number. What happened?
It's that's what I was worried about. There's an element of frustration that comes with it because I think, 2 games in a row against ranked opponents, we've come out and we've rocked a ranked opponent in the first quarter to the point where they're actively like their body language is actively along the lines of, I'm surprised this is happening. I don't know what to do. And again, it was the same thing kind of bedeviled me across both schools. Moments. There was an individual sequence there in the middle and beginning of the third quarter that broke the game open, where I had the ball, gave up a fumble 6, and then dropped the ball on the ensuing kickoff inside like a 35. And they just turned around and scored. And then after that, it was an option offense with a 2-touchdown lead. And there wasn't, and we tried to dig back and we scored a touchdown in garbage time, but it wasn't enough it wasn't enough consistently enough. It was the same thing I talk about week in, week out, a couple little moments that define your record and how your season goes.
Yeah, no, that's struggle. Yeah, Judge, you can go ahead. That's
Okay.
tough, man.
Yeah, Purple, I know you're probably sick of hearing this, but it's just tough luck, man. And, I would assume, do you have any – a lot of times special teams plays can be flukes, but if they happen over and over again, do you have any plan to pay more attention on perhaps plays when you don't pay as much attention in submitting numbers?
I do, actually. I'm working with our lovely analytics team here at JU, trying to move more into the sports science field of everything, trying to just improve on efficiency. There are, things I probably shouldn't share with the national media that our team is working on doing to give us a competitive edge.
Awesome.
I will say 2 things. One, as far as tough luck, Judge was on the bad end of that beginning of last season too. And if there's definitely hope, of course. You played two really good teams really well.
Yeah.
I've
been proud of, if not the end result, I've been proud of, because again, the final result has been lacking on the field. But I've been proud of, especially the offense, coming against two ranked opponents and putting up 38 points on between the two games, like average.
If
There's
there's a silver
definitely
lining,
something to
Go ahead.
say there. There's definitely a positive to take away from it, and it's about, all right, well, how are we going to take the things that we're doing well and refine them and put them into something else?
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say if there is a silver lining, to the situation is like you do play in a division where, you're gonna get quality wins if you get, when you win. You're every weekend we've got
No.
matchups
The
that's
if
gonna
was
get
all right.
socked up.
You can lead with that. You can lead
So
with the if.
I
All
think
right.
you're in a good opportunity to right the ship. You have good games ahead of you with good coaches. I think you'll figure it out. And I think this was just one of the situations where it was like, yeah, just when it rains, it pours. It feels like in this game sometimes.
Yeah, it really was. It was about a 5-minute span in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
You move on next.
Sure.
Any more to say about Jacksonville? Or okay. Next game is Kennesaw State beating Harvard. So, Joe,
I'm sorry, we
us-
skipped a game.
You did?
Which one?
We're missing Jacksonville State and Incarnate Word. Let's go with that one first.
Whoops.
I can cover this one.
Sure.
Yeah, this is the return of the Baba. We're very happy to have him come back. We're very sad that Matt had to
He's
take a
back.
hiatus.
Back
But
again.
yeah, but Jacksonville State in a rematch of a playoff game last season, Jacksonville State comes out on tops 37-13, evening their record up at 1-1, and Incarnate Word falls to 1-1. They were ranked 12th in the country, and definitely a power in the Southland. But Jacksonville State really walloped them, and it was really, a blowout from the word goes. 28-7 at halftime, 335 yards on the ground for Baba, and had over 20 minutes time of possession. So it was really just a dominating performance, and glad to have an old friend back.
Yeah.
That's I was not expecting Baba to take the reins so quickly, especially after a weird week one against Maine. People didn't really know what direction Jacksonville State was heading in this year, but Baba really seemed to come out of nowhere, take the reins, take over. He drew a safety in the third quarter, one of the rarer plays in this game. Yeah, I'm excited to see the power that he brings for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Good win for Baba. Yeah, just came back to the A-Sun. Got a good win for Jacksonville State. We'll see how he does in conference play, and if Matt comes back this year, if he'll be set up for a playoff run, or if he'll have to claw his way back into that discussion. Jacksonville State and Baba.
Yeah, glad to have him back.
Definitely. Okay, Judge, you want to take your game against Harvard?
Sure. All right, so Kennesaw State, my team, we faced off against Harvard in the Ivy League. The coach at Harvard is Webb, and he is a friend from the fake Padres. He's a pitcher, Booth Jones. We're rotation mates. So this one meant a little more. It was a famous Dad Bowl. And so it started out, as you can see, I had the lead early, but it never really felt comfortable in the first and second quarters. It was 7-7. And I believe I had to force a turnover because Harvard was going down to take the lead. I forced a turnover, got a touchdown, and there were just a couple times when Harvard was very close to catching up to me and keeping up with me in that first half. And thankfully, I was able to steal a couple scores away and get to halftime. then the defense just kind of put the clamps down, and it wasn't as explosive as a game for my offense as last week against South Dakota State, but I'm happy with the performance, and it was 33-14 was the final. It did not feel like it was that big of a margin, but feels good. A good win to set us up into ASUN play.
Yeah, turnovers, name of the game for this game. Looks like it looks like a difference for you. Even though you still had 2 turnovers of your own, I'm guessing those 3 turnovers more impactful.
Yeah, we kind of traded turnovers in the first half. That's kind of why it was a little stressful, because he was always in striking distance, even with only 7 points. Yeah, that's offense is really fun, but I feel like the key to this game is getting stops. So that's what I was able to do.
That would explain a lot, wouldn't it? I have to write that down. That raises some troubling concerns about my coaching strategy. Must
Judge.
get stops. All right.
Yeah, Judge, that was surgical, dude. I know, effective and through the air. I know your quarterback had a really solid week. You said 21 for 25. Making plays when you have to, and he got off to a hot start. In the second quarter, you scored 12 points. Was that 4 field goals, or is that a touchdown? 1 for 2? What happened there?
It was 2 touchdowns. I yelled it, and then I tried to get it back on the next. I tried to get the 2 points back on the next touchdown, and was unable to get it. So I just had to live with 26 at that moment. I hate it.
All right. Moving forward, we can hop into the next game: Portland State versus Mercer. This is another game that kind of came down to the end of the week on Saturday night, I believe. Mercer comes out with a win here, 31-28. Judge said it best pre-show. Rico is a bit of a wizard sometimes. It seems like, he was down 28-21, scored when he needed to in the fourth quarter. It just seems like he finds ways to pull it out of the hat at the end of the game. Happened again here.
There really was a nice, consistent offense there. If you look, he never blew the doors off in any one quarter, but he wasn't blanked, and so 365 yards of offense, and just enough points to squeak by. You know what I mean? You'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think this is a fun game. Portland State isn't really active in Discord. I've never seen them, but I've heard that Mercer and Portland State are IRL coworkers. They're coworkers, yeah. So always good to see the personal, meaningful games happen, and I'm glad that Mercer was able to take it.
Yeah.
Especially for my
consistent offense all the way. Consistent offense all the way through, and got those extra 3 points he needed right at the end to pull it out.
I will say, is one passing yard on offense more suspicious than no passing yards on offense?
I think so.
A little bit. A little bit. What happened there?
Why did you even attempt to pass? Yeah, why did you even attempt to pass?
I'm thinking he attempted multiple passes.
Okay.
And only managed to get.
Probably got sacked on one.
But he might have just got 1 yard on his one pass.
No,
so
it's better that way. It's better that
way. Next game is NC Central beating Northern Alabama 36-32. One of the few losses for the ASUN this week. North Alabama put on a good fight. Just not quite enough points. And just close, but not quite for him.
This was really two halves for Northern Alabama, going in down 10-22 at halftime, and then coming back and outscoring NC Central by 12 points. It was really one of those things where you look at it and you go, if they'd had one more score in the first quarter, second quarter, if they kept it a little bit closer, this game would have been right there for them. It was a really, really good fight back in the second half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the debut for Wally, and I think he showed well. NC Central playoff team, Junie, the Enigma, just the potent offense. North Alabama couldn't really stop them, but they fought back and hung in there. It was a honorable debut for Wally.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm going to give him the Informal Cojones Award, at halftime for Cojones Award of the Week. I said last week, before Wally's first game, that there are a few coaches in this league that can legitimately drop 100 points like Stanford did week one. And I think Junie was one of them. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see Wally hold his own here. Came within a score of winning the game. Holding like Judge says, a potent offense down to 36 points is no easy task. So I'm going to give him the Cojones Award. I'm excited to see how it continues this week.
I am deeply concerned coming into this week, yeah.
And then finally, the last game of the week is Stanford at Holy Cross. Stanford with another, resounding victory, not necessarily in the 100-point style, but definitely a solid defensive performance, forcing 3 turnovers, had 3 turnovers of his own. But this was just a scenario where I think it was veteran coach versus new coach. The ins and outs of the game. Personally familiar, good friends with Holy Cross's coach. And I know he had the misfortune of playing Stetson and Stanford in the first 2 weeks back to back. That's tough sledding. So, but I'm glad to see Stanford forces a fumble at the end of the fourth quarter to really seal this game as Holy Cross was driving. So, excellent performance by them.
Really looking at this one, it's not resounding, especially time of possession, total yardage, turnovers, the same way the other one was. But it's good. It shows that, maybe not for some of us in the Dusk division, but it's good. It shows that there's, two sides to this team. This team can come out and they can blow the doors off somebody, or they can put together an entire game, get through those little moments of adversity, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, you hit on something there, Purple. I was following this game as it happened, and it was a shutout until the very end. Holy Cross got a touchdown and nearly got another touchdown. But you look at these stats, and it doesn't feel like it tells the story of the game. Stanford dominated, and that's really all it was.
Yeah. Like I said last week, Stanford wasn't losing after that performance in week one. Just that amount of momentum. I didn't think it would be another 100-point game or even close, but it was definitely that kind of confidence, momentum carrying over was going to last them at least 1 week, probably 2 or 3. But yeah, good win for Stanford. Good start.
Next week,
I think.
Well, no, we'll get to that. Never mind. I should probably.
Yeah, we'll see if he can carry this momentum, because it's been 2 really big wins, like just in terms of how many points. Like, even though this isn't quite as big thing to laugh at, like that's still a dominating performance.
I don't know, Solo. Maybe he's used all of his points too early. Maybe if he had just dialed back and only scored about 70 against Southern Illinois, maybe he could have got 50 this game. Who knows?
That's it. That's what happens when you average 66 points a game. God, that's intimidating.
Yes.
That is very scary to look at. I'm not a fan of that.
66 points a game. That's a basketball score, baby.
That is
highest point average by the end of the year. Something went terribly wrong.
That's a consummate UConn NCAA women's score.
Big shouts. Shout out.
Yeah, thank you. This episode was sponsored by the Yukon Collegiate Department. Don't talk about our football team or we won't pay you.
So I want to changing veins here. I'm gonna give Samford the Sunny D of the week for their defensive performance versus Holy Cross. Can you also hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Judge said, he put it best. They dominated the whole game, right? And then their defense really put it away when it really needed to be put it away because it seemed like they were driving with a little bit of time left in the game. 214 yards, forced 3 turnovers. That's a solid all-around defensive performance and stepped up when you needed to. So drink up, brother. Got some piping hot OJ coming your way.
I will never be over that phrase.
It's one of our best gags.
I
also might add, we have the week 2 player of the week. That is to be determined. Those results are not available as of broadcast time, so you'll just have to wait until it's revealed in the channel for that. So the Coppertone ASUN player of the week.
Well, we'll also announce it on Shiner Shade Wednesday night.
All right.
Well, anybody who's not in the ASUN conference chat know who it is.
Our big ballas.
They don't get to know.
So we can move next into the power rankings of this week. I guess we can this conference standings first.
Here, let me grab that because I had that up already in preparation, and then I messed it up.
Can I just mention real quick, as we wrap up week 2, what a week it was. We went 11-3. I don't think we've really mentioned that.
No, I
don't think we touched on the fact that
after a 10-4 week in week 1, I didn't think we'd match it, let alone top it. The ASUN went 11-3 this week, and really proud of the coaches we have. We're only 2 weeks in, so there's still a lot left to play for, and nothing's decided. But really great showing, and this showing in out of conference play will only help us as we get to the end of the season and the metrics start coming out. So great job, guys.
I'm gonna hedge my bets and say we go 500 as a conference this week.
I say we go 500 as a conference the next 2 weeks.
Oof, bold call.
I'm taking the over on that.
Bold move, Colin. We'll see if it pays off.
I expected us to go 8 or 9 wins this week, so going 11 is crazy, and it's awesome.
21 wins against a lot of very highlight-worthy teams in there. There's been multiple top 10 opponents in that list.
Oh yeah, it hasn't been easy. This
is not week 2 of an SEC schedule.
And the 3 teams you lost to were also ranked as well. So, no shame there. And they were all, close, and it came down to a matter of, ball bounds in one way or ball bounds in the other a couple times. So that's a really, really solid showing by the conference this week. I think we're really starting to come into our own and flex on some of the other conferences. So we can run through the standings real quick before we get into the power rankings. Just in the ASUN dusk, I mean, everybody's 2-0, and then Jacksonville's 0-2. But I mean, this is the I've stood by it for the past 2 weeks. I think this is the strongest division in the entire country, and you can't really argue that right now. Kennesaw State, Bethune-Cookman, 4 a.m. All these folks are Stetson. we're stocking the.
There's a
right now.
real argument going into the coaches poll for this week that every single team except me should be ranked.
Yeah.
There's a real argument that every single division is going to end up being ranked.
I hope that's the case.
That would be crazy and awesome.
with multiple. What Campbell was already in the top 10, and they had the back. There's, provided an anti-ASUN bias does not roll around, there's a potential 5 team in the same division. There's potential to have Bethune-Cookman, Kennesaw, and Campbell, and that is that's jarring, really.
Would be nuts.
And the Dawn is just as strong. Campbell, Sanford, Chatty, Jacksonville State at 1-1, and Nutt at 2-0. Really solid showing by the top of the division these past 2 weeks. ASUN, and a lot of those are new coaches, right? Nutt is right there. Chatty's kind of risen up the ranks of that division so far. I think it's been really solid showing by both divisions so far this year.
Yeah.
I think there's been some really, really pleasant developing storylines coming out of the dusk with regards to Chatty, ETSU, and Alabama State all taking their teams in the direction then when the season started.
Yeah, it's bizarre seeing those names at the top, and we'll see if they can stay there. All right.
Inspires a little bit of confidence in my future.
Yeah. I guess I can take us into our next segment, which is a revealing of our power rankings as voted on by the coaches of the ASUN. So here they are, revealed to you for the first time. In first place, Bethune-Cookman. Second place, Kennesaw State. Third place, Sanford. Those 3 teams are pretty neck and neck. BC and KSU had 3 number 1 votes. Sanford had 2. Campbell's in fourth place with 1 first place vote, but is lagging a little bit behind. In fifth, you have Florida A&M. Sixth, Stetson right behind them. 7th place, Chattanooga. 8th, Mercer. 9th, Alabama State. 10th, ETSU. And it's crazy. They're undefeated, but they're 10th in the conference. Yeah. There's just nowhere to put them. 11th is our lone 1-1 team, Jacksonville State. And then we get to 12, and that starts our winless teams. Alabama A&M is at 12, Jacksonville is at 13, and North Alabama is at 14. So, we've had a little bit of shakeup this week. It looks a little different than it did. But it's kind of tough to rank when you've got 10 undefeated teams. So
it was, there was very much, I know even as the votes were coming in, you guys are talking about there being a dogfight between the first 3 spots. And it's really, 1 first place vote for Sanford puts them in second, especially if that one comes from Bethune-Cookman. Like, there's so much parity in that top 3, yourself included.
That just makes conference, beginning of the conference schedule that much scarier, right? Like,
it does.
We all gotta face each other now.
Yeah. Okay.
We know those teams play each other coming in, so.
Okay, I got 1 small problem with the final and 1 big problem. So, small problem, I had Kennesaw State at 1 and Bethune-Cookman at 2. But it really could go either way. Big problem, Mercer is down at 8.
I had them.
And
I had them.
I don't know. I just don't know, like, how's Mercer keep ending up at 8th? Every time we come on, like, Mercer is so underrated, and they stay that way. Like, usually if someone points out someone's underrated, they get boosted up. But no, Mercer.
No, they're just
people refuse to boost Mercer up.
It's a hard argument. You have ahead of them. We have you, Stetson, and Chatty, all of which are ranked.
Oh, I have Mercer ahead of Campbell, Chatty, and Stetson. They're all ahead of him on the.
Okay.
So, I had me 4, Mercer 5, and then the top 3 are the same. But yeah, I had Mercer ahead of Campbell, Stetson, and Chatty, and ETSU. But yeah.
Maybe that's just the magic for Mercer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Rico wizardry. I think if you look at this power rankings right now, the most interesting, my biggest question is where does 8, 9, and 10? Where do those 3 teams end up at the end of the year? Because I feel like those 3 teams are currently, like I said, currently being slept on a little bit, and I want to see how they can deal with the haters.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice. I had ETSU at 6, so that's another probably I should have mentioned big problem.
There's really, we
Not
talked
end
about
up below
those
Turk,
teams.
but
We talked about 2 of those teams, ASU and ETSU, being kind of surprise names at the top of the ledger. This was really exciting to see, Turk see if he can continue with this momentum, and ETSU see if they can come in, still with a new head coach and turn that into something bigger in the division, because riding pretty on 2 out of conference wins is definitely not an easy task, as much as we may have made it look like one.
yeah,
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, can't relate. Your reputation saved you from being behind me on the polls, by the way. You got just enough votes more. Well, I put myself in 13th, if I'm being honest.
yeah. I think it's I had the bottom 4 exact same order. It's just I hope all 4 of you can turn it around, but that's the order for now.
It was just a matter of being the only people who lost.
It's going to be at your expense if we turn it around, though.
It will be.
Yeah,
That is a threat and a promise.
Yep. All right. Do we want to move into the week 3 slate now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead.
yeah.
All right. So the game of the week presented by Cookout for week 3 is going to be Chatty at Bethune-Cookman. Both teams 2-0. Both ranked teams. Both teams with big dubs, week 1 and week 2 out of conference. I talked to Bernie yesterday, and one of his questions was, do you guys think that whoever wins this game will be the last remaining undefeated in conference team?
No.
I don't. I mean, you've got 8 other teams to pick from.
There's too much of the conference is undefeated. Because if you look at this, Bethune-Cookman, after this game, it's Campbell, which has the potential to be undefeated, and then their next in-conference game is Mercer, who also has the potential to be undefeated coming into it. So I think there's just too many other teams that are undefeated.
Right. Fair.
Yeah. I could definitely see it. I could see pretty much any of the teams being the last one with how competitive it has been. So it's them versus the field. I gotta take the field, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of them.
That being said, as far as picks go, I'm going to take Pello here. I think Pello, the Bethune-Cookman, has had a really solid start to the season, just like last year. Chatty, in my mind, is right there on the border of contender versus pretender, and I really want to see a big. This victory will definitely cement him in the contender category for me. Unfortunately, Pello was already there, and I think Pello wins this one. I think it's close, but I think Pello wins.
Yeah, I really think that I just can't go against Pello. I can't pick against Pello. Against anybody, against myself. It doesn't really have much to do with what quality Chattanooga is. They've had a really good start of the season, and I believe that they're going to have a really improved year. But Bethune-Cookman is just a powerhouse, and I can't bet against them at this point.
My question coming into the game, looking through all the statistics, is that Chattanooga has had a significantly better defense through the first 2 games. And I know, obviously some of that is opponents, but the question there is Chattanooga, with an almost 20-minute time of possession and the 4th best defense in the league, are they able to turn that into something against Bethune-Cookman? I find myself unable to bet against Bethune-Cookman, but I think there's a very, very real possibility just given some of the underlying numbers, that Chattanooga comes out and plays a really strong defensive game.
So you're picking.
I will go with Bethune-Cookman,
Okay.
but I think this has the potential to be really interesting.
Cool.
I am tempted to go. I'm talking my way through this one right now because I didn't make my picks beforehand.
Yeah, me neither, unfortunately.
I'm tempted to go with the upset. I think they've both been pretty really good teams on offense. Bethune-Cookman, it's been basically shootouts, but he's just been the better shootout and dominated. While Chattanooga definitely has had the better defense, but still scoring a bunch of points, just not as much as Bethune-Cookman. So it's definitely gonna be high scoring. I think I'm gonna go Chatty. Yeah, I'm gonna say it'll be a close one, but I think it's going to come down to the wire. But I think Chatty will get a good. He's had the better defense this year. I think he'll get a good defensive play or drive, good defensive stop near the end to seal it, and come out with a win.
Moving right along.
In the first pick. Already breaking things up from last week.
Moving right along, I'm gonna abstain from voting on the victor in this game, but it's Mercer at Alabama A&M. This is a game that I've been looking forward to for a while now. The Mercer is one of the few teams that I actually haven't played yet in this game. Rico is, as you know, been pulled off some magic in the first 2 weeks. A lot of people don't really know this from last year, but Rico was considered a playoff contender up until the last couple of weeks of the season before conference championship week. So he's always been a good competitor. I'm excited to finally get the opportunity to play him.
Yeah, ampersand, you currently live in my basement, and so I think you will have a successful season and you'll be in playoff contention, but you might just have to take the Judge route, and Judge lost week 3 last season. I did. Sorry, I don't mean to refer to myself in the third person, but Mercer's really got something there, and I think they wouldn't have struggled as much in their 2 wins had they had more active coaches. And you being a more active coach, as they get into conference play, I think they'll get more in a role, get more into a rhythm, and they'll be able to take care of business. And so it'll be a very close game. It's going to be a great game between 2 great teams. I look at the 0-2 by Alabama A&M, and that doesn't mean anything to me. They're a really good team, but I think Mercer's going to win.
It's unfortunately, I'm sorry, ampersand, but I'm of the same mind. Not that you're not a very coach, but that Mercer right now is really kind of riding high, and they're doing a lot of the little things right. And I think that turns into a 3-0 start for them.
I'm not crying.
Well,
don't do it to me slow.
Same logic. Mercer on a roll. I also like my strength of schedule to be better, and I'm up against Mercer week 4. No, but I think Mercer's on a roll, and I think it's going to be close. But Mercer pulls it out.
Prove us wrong. College rankings conundrum.
I will say, I believe, to my knowledge, there were 4 teams that had win streaks of 6 games or more last season. It was Judge, it was Pello, and I know I was one of them as well. And my 6-game win streak last year started week 3. I was also 0-2 to start last season. So I. Not to sway your picks, but I'm really excited to try to finally get a win on the board.
Forge your own trail.
Pick swaying can be done if you Venmo me at JU Dolphins. Oh God, please, I need money.
If you lose all your out of conference and then dominate in conference, I'm gonna be mad, because that just makes the conference worse.
I just call that the
That would
Judge
be
special, bro.
frustrating.
That's I was Judge last year.
Yep.
Win the conference.
The best coaches are they win all their out of conference and then lose in conference, because that makes the conference look better.
That was Matt. That was Matt last year.
Really optics.
Next up, we have Alabama State and Campbell. This is going to be one of my more intriguing games to watch this week. Turk has been around for a while, but he hasn't really had this good of a start. And Campbell's another team that didn't really finish where they wanted to last year, and they're both, off to scorching hot starts. And Campbell should be in the top 5 of the coaches poll this week, if I'm not mistaken. I'm really excited to see this showdown. This is one that probably wasn't on people's radars 2 weeks ago, but now probably has national ranking implications at the end of this week. I'm going to take Campbell in this one. I think Campbell's really started to turn a corner this year, and I think he's going to be at the top of the division for a while. And I think it starts here with a win over Turk.
I think we got some bad messages from Humpy Boy last week when we all picked Maine. So I may have learned my lesson. 3-0 might be not average enough for Campbell, but I think he's going to get there. And Turk can still have a successful season, but we're just in this tough time having to pick between 2 undefeated teams, and I'm going to go with Campbell.
I am going to voice a dissenting opinion. Scandalous, I know, yes. String me up on the flagpole. But these teams are so coin toss even in effectively every single metric. Time of possession, they're within 3 teams of each other. Points allowed, they're within 3 teams of each other. Points scored, they're within 3 teams of each other. These teams are really functioning really very, very similarly at the moment. And I think Turk kind of takes this newfound success and runs with it. So I'm going to give this one to ASU.
Well, we all doubted Campbell last week, and he came out and beat Maine. So I should have learned my lesson. But I didn't. I'm going to ride the Turk train. And
Okay.
I'm going to go Alabama
Don't
State.
leave me out on an island.
Yeah, I'm going to ride the Turk train this week, and I'm going to go Alabama State. I think he's turned the corner. I think he had a good chance of winning the division this year. So I'm going to ride the Turk train until it falls off the rails.
Choo choo.
Until he's back to a losing record, I will ride the Turk train.
Next stop on the Turk train is East Tennessee State at Florida A&M. This is Nutt's first real experience as a head coach in conference playing the ASUN. I know he had quite the experience last year versus a coach has been there with Florida A&M, right? You've been sought highly after coaches, and this would be a huge win if you're able to pull it off. I think, but I say that if I really think Florida A&M wins this game. I think it's unfortunate it has to play you and never conference game as a coach, but I think you kind of show them how it's done. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be high scoring, to be honest. 2 very different offensive styles. I'm going to go back and forth, I believe, but I think you just went out.
This is a really tough game for me to pick. We haven't seen that much out of Nutt at ETSU yet. We've seen great things, but I don't know if we've seen enough. I know that Florida A&M's decent, but I don't know if they're great. So they have a little bit more to prove to me, I guess. It's really a coin flip. I'm gonna go with Nutt. I think I'm gonna go with ETSU.
First of all, slow your feelings just got dabbed on, so embrace that. I'm sorry for your loss. I am going to go the other way around. I'm going to go with FAMU. I think there's going to be, if not a party in Tallahassee, a victory, and I think Slolo is going to push himself even higher up the rankings coming at the end of this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm pretty sure Nut runs the option, so I think it's going to be pretty similar to last week. But so I'm going to get my offense going a little early. So yeah, I think I can pull it out, but it's going to be if I can get my offense going before the fourth quarter.
Next, we have Jacksonville at Northern Alabama. Purple and Wally going at it, both looking for their first win and first. Both of them would be their first conference win as well.
Their
as
our
coaches.
first wins ever.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this game as well, because I haven't really seen much of Wally's games. I didn't watch much of his NTACU game either. But Purple, you have taken your lumps in the first 2 weeks. And, I really think that this is a game where you continue your hot start. I feel like you drop 20, 30 points in the first half. And this could be the game that Junie didn't have last week, where you kind of break the game open. If you kind of figured out your offense. I think you win here. I think you win here big, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have to atone for an ill-conceived joke on a Jackbox game.
No, you're fine.
I really do think that Wally had a good showing last week, but that's still his first game. Maybe it's beginner's luck. I'm confident he'll be a contributing member and a decent player, and will bring pride to the ASUN. But Purple, at this point, I think it'd be dumb not to bet on you, just because of what we've seen in the first two games, even though there were losses. I think we can get turnovers cleaned up and all of that going. So I'm going with the Dolphins. Fins up.
I guess I'm dumb then. I don't have enough confidence in myself to pick myself, frankly. I think Wally's second half showing last week against a very good opponent is intimidating. I think there's a lot there, and I think I probably, like I usually do, lose this game by a field goal. Let's I will pick UNA.
Well,
Ballsy.
Since
I have money on it,
so your vote doesn't count on your own game, so I'm gonna bring out the brooms. I'm gonna bring out the. I think you'll win. I don't think it'll be as big of a win as Ampersand does, but I think you'll win. It's gonna be a good game, even though it's 2-0-2 teams.
Just means we have something to prove.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Dolphins take it.
Fins up, ladies and gentlemen. Fins up.
Next up, we have Jacksonville State at Kennesaw State. Judge, this is your game. I think if you told somebody, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, end of season 2, that Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State would be playing week 3 of this year, they'd be extremely stoked. And now, if you told someone yesterday that was going to happen, I feel like they would be extremely stoked for totally different reasons, right? Like new coach, totally different trajectory right now. I'm really excited for this game. I think you actually played Baba last year, right, in the Georgia Belt, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Is that right, Judge?
Mm-hmm. I did.
And I know that was part of the beginning of the tough season that you had. Is that not right?
Yeah, I lost. So this is week 3. I guess I'll give you a preview since I'm not picking. I'll give you a preview. This was a game that I had circled on my schedule from the beginning because Matt's a really good coach. I played him in scrimmage last year and he shut me down. It was going to be one of my toughest challenges. That's changed a little bit. It's still circled on my calendar because here it is, week 3, another season. I'm playing Baba again because I played Baba in week 3 last season, and Baba beat me. So suddenly this has turned into a statement game, It's turned from a statement game into a revenge game. So some interesting dynamics going forth, and I'm excited and a little scared, but it's okay.
That being said, I piped up for Kennesaw State possibly to be ranked number 1 on the CAA show yesterday. That doesn't change here. I think you have one of the more dynamic offenses in the country. I think you find a way to get it done, especially through the air if Bob is running down your throat all game in the KSU.
I agree, but my big kind of eyes emoji looking at this one is that offense and that defense. Baba may not be offensively explosive, but he is smothering in terms of clock control and defense, and it's going to be really, really interesting to watch that battle. And I do think ultimately Kennesaw State is going to end up breaking loose and winning by a touchdown or two. But I think there's going to be a lot of nail-biting moments at the beginning of this game here.
Well, if Jacksonville State can get this win, they'll be set playoff run. It'll be nice win in conference. I think they had a pretty good win out of conference. So yeah, even though they lost week 1, it'd still be set up pretty well. I feel like being a dissenting opinion. I think I'm gonna go Baba.
Just to be
I don't feel like going to grab the broom right now. I'm gonna go Baba. I think Jacksonville State take the win, get a good win, set themselves up nicely for another playoff run. I think that'll be 3 years in a row if they do manage to get there.
Man, you don't want to cross judge. He'll lock you in his basement for
an
indeterminate amount of time.
How much room do you have in there?
Well, you see, I only have room for one person per basement, but I have multiple basements, so.
Can I sublet a basement? Is that a possibility?
Sure.
So you better watch out.
I'll commute to campus.
And our last game we have going on this week is Stetson at Samford. For those AS Sun historians out there, this game has been circled on the calendar for a long time. Back when Stetson's old coach and Samford had agreed to do a home and home, home and home arranged schedule at the Benz in Atlanta for the next 2 years. So I'm really excited to see this one. Obviously, different circumstances between the two coaches now. Both teams 2-0, both teams high potent offenses, both teams ranked. I'm really excited to see, Stetson of new versus Samford of old had to take it on here. I think, actually, probably not a super common answer, but I think Stetson wins this game. Samford has looked really good so far this year, but I think I'm going to be in the minority when I say that I think Stetson wins this game, probably by 3 points.
That's an interesting takeaway there. You hit the nail on the head with the historical side of this. This is going to be a great game. Our two S schools, and I have a lot of faith in both of these teams, and I think Samford's going to have a great year. But we had Hat.jpg on the show 2 weeks ago in our last episode, and talking with them, I've just really seen what an analytical mind that Hat has, and he's applied it to his coaches poll ranking, and they've it's been applied. I think it's going to be applied to the games, and so I'm really impressed with the scientific side of that, and I think that Stetson is going to dawn a new age of, I don't know what the football term for sabermetrics is, but I think we'll see a statistical revolution here, and I'm going with Stetson.
No, I'm going to probably make this a little one-sided. You're not going to end up being in the minority, ampersand. Having talked a lot with Stetson, I agree absolutely with you, Judge. I think there's a lot of things and a lot of analytical ways that she looks at the game that are really interesting. And in the classic cliche of old school football, I think Stetson's had to fight through games in a way that Samford has not. And I think Samford might not necessarily react to a dogfight the same way Stetson will, because Stetson was basically going toe to toe with Duchesne for a lot of that. I refuse to pronounce it correctly because I don't know. Going toe to toe with Duquesne for a lot of that game, and I think in a close dogfight, I think Stetson wins this one.
So I got two things, two reasons for my. We had a really interesting side-by-side since both of these teams played Holy Cross. And it was super similar performances by both. 4-point difference on offense, 7-point difference on defense. So it was really similar. I think it was 31-6 for one and 35-13 for the other. But on the games they weren't playing Holy Cross, so we already know they're pretty similar teams. I think Stetson had the more impressive win. I think Southern Illinois gave them another ton of points in their second game. So while 100 points is impressive,
terrifying,
the competition wasn't there, so to say. So I think Stetson has. I'm picking Stetson. I think Stetson has more experience. Plus, Stetson
room stuffed away in the back of that claw.
Wow.
Plus, Stetson beat me last year while I beat Samford. So, gotta give respect to the person who was able to beat me.
That's going to be, honestly, as much as there's the game of the week and my game, I think that I'm paying a lot of attention to. I think that's going to be a really compelling game this week.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Definitely.
The two Sunny D winners against Holy Cross.
Which, maybe is more about Holy Cross, but
do we have Holy Cross? Does Holy Cross schedule any more ASUN teams? Because we can just make this a joke in the next out of conference.
God, I hope
so. Watch them go undefeated in conference play. And
watch Holy Cross be
Yeah,
mark my words.
A lot of.
Sorry, mark my words. Nobody shuts down Holy Cross 3 times.
The old Kentucky-Florida game, huh?
Not even Uga. Holy Cross beat Uga last year.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. We're really lucky. We have an awesome slate of games this week, and I'm excited for the rest of the slate of games we have coming up. We have a really full, deep conference this year, and this first week is a testament to that. Really looking forward. Even as records change throughout the year, I'm really not looking forward to playing any one of you guys. But in that way, I am excited for it. So it's gonna be a great year.
No, I really
definitely.
I think top to bottom, I don't think there's a single coach in here who can't give somebody a heart attack. I think absolutely, even if not results wise, I think this is a loaded conference, and there's going to be a lot of compelling games, whether we expect there to be or not.
Yeah. Any of these coaches could win the conference still. It's still in possibility early in the season. So, a long time left in the season. It'll be a fun season. Let's see what happens.
I mean, any of them could, but it's obviously going to be me when I rip off 8 consecutive in-conference wins or curb stomping somebody in the final. Obviously.
Wait. Are you just going to win all the conference games and then continue to lose the out-of-conference?
Yes, absolutely.
You are the worst coach, and I...
Well, no. So I'm 0-7. Well, no, I have to win one of my out-of-conference games because I'm 0-7 all time. So I have to win. I have to win 8 games and then lose another one, so things are perfectly balanced. There's a method to this.
I think I have to be either +2 or +4 games to be back to for Florida A&M to be back to positive games all the time.
You can do it, just not against me, please. Please.
Yeah.
I'll
Well, I
Venmo
think that's
you
all.
$2 in a lint ball.
I think that's all we have for this week. Thank you, Purple, for making another astounding appearance on our ASUN Network television or podcast. Thank you for your service with this program.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate anyone who will let me ramble on like an idiot. It's greatly appreciated.
And thank you to Judge and Slogan for it's an awesome show.
Yeah, thanks guys. This has been fun every week. Glad we're
Yeah,
doing
Judge, thank you for improving the Wi-Fi in your basement for Ampersand. For giving him some infrastructure to go with his bread and water down there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I did the speed test. I got 50 megs now, so I'm pretty happy
That's
about that.
It's a good AT&T Wi-Fi, baby.
It is. It's AT&T. Yeah.
Okay, so that's put that on the sponsor list for next time.
Believe in the power of and.
Yes. He gets it. I propaganda around the basement. He gets it.
Oh no.
All right, folks. Sounds good. But we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
See you guys. Bye.